the Vitalmoments podcast, or I should say, welcome to the live weather report from Exeter, Ontario, where we are snowed in. It could be a news anchor. Go for it.
You gotta be outside though, with the snow blowing, and the snowplow goes by and like smokes you.
You gotta love when you watch those fails on YouTube or Instagram, like the Weather Network fails. So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got like a foot and a half of snow here in Exeter.
Did you see the Buffalo game last night?
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills?
Wow. It's insane. They were paying their fans in food and $20 an hour before the game.
Wow.
To shovel the stadium.
What struck me was nothing's going to stop a Buffalo Bills fan of getting to a game. The place is packed.
Yeah.
In the midst of a blizzard.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, this is a Monday morning where we are recording a conversation. But before we get into the conversation, we do have some fun news regarding the end of the year at Vitalpoint Church with a year-end campaign.
Yes.
Man, you want to kind of explain what's going down?
Well, for those of you who are on the email list, you should have checked your junk mail in case you don't see it. But we are this month, everything that comes in through our giving and extra giving we are going to take a tithe, the 10% of it, and donate it. Split it between two organizations, Alpha and Awana. And I'm excited about that. And I'm praying that people step into this moment. But I think the bigger picture is a continuation of the vision and mission and kingdom assignment of Vitalpoint Church, right? So we continue to move forward with our 4 locations, getting ready to plant our 5th location, which we'll announce at some point in 2025. Where it's going to be, and it's an important year end for us. Alpha in particular, the two organizations, Alpha and Awana, are very much part of Vitalpoint Church and how we use those organizations and how they're part of what we do. So, so those of you who are thinking about giving in this year end, some of you might be like, "Hey, I got to catch up on my year and give," and so we'll be generous with that, which I'm excited about.
That'd be good. Awesome. If you've got questions about that, you can reach out to us on our website. Easy ways to give to that year-end campaign, and can't wait to hear the stories that come in 2025.
Don't mail it.
Definitely not.
Especially, right now when this is being recorded.
With the strike. Yeah. Okay. Man, another great Sunday in all of our locations. In our Exodus series, Exodus and Jesus.
Yeah.
I think this is probably one of my favorite moments with Moses and God.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. You see like the spiritual maturity of Moses develop into something beautiful. He's like, at one point at the beginning of the story of Exodus, he's like, dude, like me, God, you want to use me? And then this one, he's like, I ain't moving if you ain't leading me by your spirit.
Yeah.
And there was nuggets all the way through this conversation that you had in our locations. And why don't we kind of start with this? Like, what was your big nugget or your big takeaway for people in this kind of conversation? Because you got God's people. They're like, hey, let's start worshiping a golden calf. They like get Aaron, Moses's right-hand guy, to like cave. Yeah. And then you get God who sees everything that's going on, and he's talking with Moses, and then there's this conversation back. Like, what was your big takeaway? Because it was like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I wrestled with this message because I felt like there's 2 parts to it, right? And that first part being geared around God's frustration, wanting to consume them. They've corrupted themselves. They've so quickly turned from my commandments. And we had some fun, obviously, with the stiff-necked posture of those people, right? That inability to bend or that inability to be obedient. And we talked about the reality of that in our lives at times. I also felt like that first part was necessary to get people to the understanding of why Moses was now pleading with God.
Yeah.
If you don't go with us. So there's this moment for him where he's obviously been so shaped by God's involvement in his life.
Yeah.
Going from, I don't want to do this, to we're not moving without you. And I wonder if probably the big thing that we should take from this, Dave, is more geared around the idea of don't use and see God as your servant, but just live into the power of him being with you. Like sometimes I think we pray, God, give me direction, show me this, provide me this. What would it look like Moses in verse 18 of chapter 33? It's just like, show me your glory.
Yeah.
Right. And that determination of I'm so dependent upon who you are and what you're doing that I'm not moving without you, and that pleading with God and then wanting his glory. And I think those things that we go to God for will work themselves out in our pursuit of more of his glory, more of his presence in our lives. And yeah, so that's part of what I was thinking about. Now, I mean, I also believe that some people's paradigm of God, like I relate to God in these 3 steps. Like if I read my Bible, if I pray, if I serve, if I go to church, or 4 or 5 steps, and that's fine and necessary. The disciplines are necessary, right? Was it you that sent me a post about that? About the glory, the discipline? Anyway.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So that's in essence what I was kind of hoping people would take away from it, right?
Do you think in our like our cultural moment of right now, the context that we're in, do you find that we're not much different from the Israelites when it comes to seeing a move of God in our life, having his presence with us, and then we give credit to other things?
Yeah, that's that I think is the beauty of this story, this epic moment in God's story of God's people, is we see ourselves in this, right? We recognize there's hints of who we are in this. Whether, the stiff-neckedness, I think is interesting because that is the tension of faith, where I like this, one of the songs we sang yesterday, I depend on you, right? And so there is that longing of dependence upon God for all things. But I mean, our Western culture is hard to really fully get to that place because we have a lot at our fingertips, right? So that posture of I depend on you. But then the tension of I want to be in control. I want to do my own thing. And I heard this recently. I think you and I may have talked about this as well, is that when we want control over things is because we want the credit. And I just think that the story is speaking to the reality of human nature. We're designed to worship God. Our hearts are designed to worship him. We will settle often for counterfeit things to worship, but yet not fully recognizing that we have bowed down to those things. And so there's a piece of it where we continue to live in this space of trying our best to live by the Spirit instead of the flesh. And so that means there's always going to be this, like they were back and forth, right? They crossed the Red Sea, for crying out loud, and they throw it down with tambourines and they worship, and then, a few short, days later, essentially, they're now making a golden calf and bowing down to it and acknowledging
that this is the thing that delivered us.
This is the thing that gave us freedom. It's like, seriously, you saw God part the Red Sea. You saw the pillar. You saw, that cloud in the fire. And it's like, what? But I think that that's the reality of we want our faith to be a straight line. And I believe that it's more of a zigzag.
It is a zigzag because Psalm 23 describes it so beautifully of what the Good Shepherd does. He leads us to what? Still waters and green pastures, even in the valley of the shadow of death, right? That is David
Yeah.
pouring out his heart. Like life is up and down, but still the good shepherd is with us because he
Right.
truly cares for us.
Yeah.
What are some maybe like modern day idols that we create? Yeah, if you're listening to this and you have a golden calf in your house and you're worshiping that thing,
Probably a
like
good idea to get rid of it.
let's get rid of that sucker. But what in ways do we make our idols right now? That because I believe from Psalm 139 when David writes, "Search my heart, O God,"
Yeah.
it's the realization that you are the all-seeing God. I am a limited being. Are there things in my life that are holding me back?
Yeah, in Poplar Hill, that's how we ended the call to action, was doing a search me, oh God.
Yeah, that's how we did it in Exeter.
Did you?
Yeah, I was like, last song, I'm like, man,
Yeah,
this
me
is
too.
David crying out again.
Me
Search my
too.
heart, oh God.
Yeah, I felt that too.
That's so cool.
We'll see if John and Tony did that at our Forest and Clinton locations.
Forest had a revival, I think.
I'm pretty sure revival's breaking out in Forest.
Yeah.
What were you asking me? Oh, modern day
idols.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's anything in our lives that we give the highest priority to.
Mm.
In some cases, children can become that.
Yeah.
I think in some ways, church can in some ways become an idol, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the church is the body of Christ, but our commitment is to Christ. I think our jobs, money, fame, there's I don't know. I'm trying to think through just on the spot. What are some of the idols that we have in our lives? Social media.
Yeah.
What is it that has the most control?
Yeah.
Over your life, right? Your schedule. Yeah. I mean, we could park on social media for probably a while because what we worship is what we respond to it, right? We react to it. It's anytime our phone dings, or maybe it's more the phone than social media, right? There's a guy in our neighborhood. I may have talked about this in the past. There's a guy in our neighborhood. When I see him going for a walk, every time I see him, his head is like there. And then a while back, early fall, he was walking with two phones. Now he might be working for all I know.
He might be working, but
yeah,
but it is a representation of I believe what an idol does. In my own understanding of seeing them revealed in my life, it keeps my posture away from God.
Right. It's bidding for my attention, right?
Yeah.
It's bidding to keep your focus on it.
Yeah, and the enemy has done, and we don't want to give him so much credit, but he has done a good job of distracting us from the actual presence and the glory of God. And I said something to you last night. We had a staff and board Christmas party, and you said Moses was like, he's pleading, like, God, I want more of your glory. And if you got a chance to watch the message or listen to it at one of our locations, and be part of the conversation on a Sunday, like, you talked very clearly, like, we would never be able to handle the glory of God if we fully saw it, right? And you gave us the analogy of like looking through the fingers of God, right? God showed Moses his glory, just a glimpse of the back of him. And I said to you last night when we were quickly pondering on how the day was in all of our locations, I said, I don't believe we truly will understand or experience God's glory unless you step into the call that he's placed upon your life.
Sure. Yeah. I'd have to ponder that a little bit more, right? I love the thought. I want to wrestle that down a bit more.
And that's what I'm saying.
Maybe Connect groups can do that. Maybe Connect groups can this week that listen to this can kind of wrestle that through.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't have an answer for it, but like as I was listening to the talk, as I've been praying about it and just mulling it over, it's like, do I truly do I experience God's glory in my day? Absolutely, but there's a sweet harmony when I am walking in step with what He's placed before me, and I know His presence is with me. It's like, the glory of God is there.
The weight of his character.
Yeah, the weight of his character.
Of his holiness is present,
man,
right?
It's evident, right?
Yeah. It's like you're in that apex of your faith. It's like that sweet spot of the corner that a car goes into, which is the apex, right? So there's this understanding of living in that moment where with your calling, with your gifts, and with the presence of Jesus and his glory is in that moment. And there's just awe and wonder, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I don't want people to think, oh, the glory of God is, it is revealed when you go watch a sunset. That's the power of the glory of God there, right? I think that verse in Hebrews, talks about he upholds, what was it? He upholds the world in his hand.
In his
power.
hands, yeah.
Yeah, in his hands, right? That's speaking of Christ, obviously, but yeah.
He's the very essence of God, right?
He upholds the universe. That's the word I was looking for, by the word of his power, right? And so the glory of God is revealed through that, but also in our own journeys, right?
Yeah.
Another idol, by the way, could be fitness. Just saying.
Yeah.
It becomes an idol. Not that I have made it an idol, just so we're clear.
Yeah. Oh, CrossFit. Everything's CrossFit. No.
Yeah. I think this is, I just want, what I want for our community, what I want for those listening to this is, as we should probably wrap this up because we both have meetings to run to. Well, you're going to be on Zoom for it, I guess. But it's just really wrestling down, what does this look like in my life to desire more of God's glory? More.
That's the big thing I took away from Moses.
Yeah.
He's experienced God's presence and he's like, man, this is the only thing that quenches my thirst.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the only one that quenches my thirst inside of my being. And I don't want to move without him.
Yeah. And he wants it more than he wants the promise of the promised land.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh,
right.
I think that's what my heart cry is.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be something to get to that place where each day you wake up and it's just like, I just want you, God. That's all I want today.
Let's go a step farther. You go to bed and you pray, God, I want you as I sleep, right?
Yeah.
Because there's you're actually at full rest, hopefully, in those moments, and God can speak to you. Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that's a beautiful step to take in our journey of faith, is as you go to sleep and as you're about ready to doze off, God, I just want more of your glory tonight. And then when you wake up in the morning and it's almost like he's there. I remember one guy talking about this, is that when we wake up in the morning, it's as if Jesus is standing beside our bed waiting for us to check in.
Oh man.
Right. It's kind of like those who have their phones beside their bed often will pick it up and check in there. Yeah. But, and I know people use it for alarms and stuff like that, but it's more.
You still can get a regular alarm clock
for $9.99 off of Amazon.
I love it.
Yeah. No, my phone stays in the kitchen at night. I don't have it up. Neither does Desiree.
You're so holy. It's amazing.
I'm pretty much a spiritual giant.
Okay, come on. This is how we get canceled. When we start rambling around.
He's a spiritual giant because he leaves his phone in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah, that's so funny.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, thanks for hosting again, and thanks to producer Josh, and thanks to everybody who watches this. And it's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This is a Sunday morning meandering, it feels like, because we had late night last night, and then.
But it's a good conversation that hopefully is encouraging people to.
I hope so too.
Ask God, can I have more of your glory? Can I have more of your glory in my life and your presence? So, before we sign off, again, year-end giving, the year-end campaign. Yeah. On our website. It's all the information's there. Awana Canada, Alpha Canada. Can't wait to be able to support them and be generous to them. Yep. Through our generosity, God honors that, and he does amazing things. And then Christmas, 10 services? Is it 10?
10 services, 4 locations.
Come on.
We are going to record the Poplar Hill one and post it at some point. It's not going to be a live stream. We will post it after. So.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Be praying, who could I invite that's not yet connected to a church? Man, it's going to be fun. Okay?
Yep.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Producers Josh, and thanks to everyone else listening. Have a great day. Stay safe out there.